And we thought it'd be interesting to take a few minutes and show you exactly how these jigs are made. Now Salis and Taddy and UFO all use a die cast type method. But the original sandcasting method that Candy Bar started years ago is pretty interesting. So right now we're going to go talk to Bob Manning, who his father started Candy Bar, and take a look at exactly how these jigs are made.
My dad started making candy bar lures back in 1952, and his first lures were delivered to Pier Point Landing in a seized candy box, such as this. And in the candy box, they had his lures, and that's where the name Candy Bar had come from.
The initial sand casting process starts at the aircraft foundry. In the case of candy bar lures, the same foundry that has been pouring candy bars for over 50 years. The raw material, 356 aluminum, is melted down in giant ovens. Once liquid, aluminum is carried in ladles to sand boxes. 2 boxes for each cast are compressed around metal casting plates and stacked together. When the plates are removed, it leaves several hollow cavities in the sand in which the hot aluminum is then poured. Poured at over 1400 degrees, the hot molten liquid runs through a pre-cut tube, filling the hollow cavities in the sand, forming what is known as the tree. After being allowed to cool for about a half an hour, the sand boxes are then moved to the dumping area, where the entire frame is dumped and the cast are separated from the sand. The process of removing the trees from the sand takes a delicate hand, because if the trees are pulled out too fast, they could get tweaked, giving the tree a slight bend, which in turn will cause a different swimming action in each individual lure. The individual lures are then trimmed off the tree with the use of a bandsaw. Once removed from the tree, the nubs are then also trimmed away, leaving the new castings ready for the next step, which is also the most labor-intense and time-consuming element of the entire process. Each and every lure is individually ground and sanded by hand to remove the flange and saw marks. After each lure has been hand-sanded, they are wheelabraided in ball-bearing filled giant tumblers, 300 pounds at a time, to smooth off any remaining rough spots and saw marks. From there, the lures are stamped and ID'd, and as Bob explains, this hand-stamping process is part of what helps to give candy bar lures some of their unique individual swimming characteristics.
One of the tricks about candy bar, after stamping the lure, puts a little bend in the lure, as this pair does here. This pair over here starts out perfectly flat without the bend in it. Having the bend in the lure, when the lure is being pulled through the water, causes the water to flip from the back side to the flat side, giving it more of a swimming action when it comes to the water. After the prime coat has been put on, we put on 6 to 8 coats of base color, this being base white. Then after the white has been put on, then we put the trim colors on, like this Dorado lure over here, with the white, bright green, and blue. I'll show you how we make the scrambled egg, one of the most popular lures we have for the calico bass. First we start out with a little Brinks gun and a yellow spray can bottle. Put the yellow trim down. Turn the lure around, spraying downwards so that you don't get into the spray on the flat side of the lure. After the yellow's been done, now we put the brown trim on it, doing the same way, spraying downwards, so the yellow spray does not hit the back of the lure. After the painting has been done, we have to attach the hooks by using a ring to the lures. The rings we use is Monel wire, which is 40% nickel. First we take the wire and we split them apart. They all come pre-closed. After being apart, we took the wire and we put it through the hook and through the lure at the same time, and then we spin them shut. We do the same thing for the big ring at the butt end of the lure. It comes closed as well. It's a thicker wire, much bigger ring. Through the lure, pull it shut. Then they're set on these welding boards, and these welding boards have grooves that are put in them to hold the rings to stand straight up, setting the opening of the hook and the lure and the ring, the top part. Then we take the welding torch with a brazing rod with a little bit of flex on it, and we weld the ring shut. Get the ring hot so it's red, and the flex will flow with the brazing rod down the wire. We do the same thing to the nose. Get the wire hot. Let it flow. After it cools for about 30 seconds or so, we have to take a pair of pliers and pinch down on the weld, which will break the flex. It's like fiberglass. And once that's been accomplished, you now have a finished product of a candy bar lure ready to be shipped to your nearest tackle store or landing.
A little point that you guys might want to think about when you're throwing iron, of course, always look back and see where you're casting from. Make sure you don't hit anybody. But whatever you do, don't use a swivel type of combination here. Basically what happens is that once you cast, your line's going to get tangled up in the swivel, and you're always going to have to unbraid your line from your jig. So just tie your line directly to the ring. That's what it's designed for. It swims real well with just the ring, so you don't really need the extra hardware here. So whatever you do, don't put the swivel on there.